So let me do a follow-up to the Representative Clark on Betsy Devos. She's doing an interview on MSNBC and then a YouTube channel, The Damage Report, which is part of the Young Turks, is then reporting on that. This video is posted on April 1st, 2019. And Secretary Representative Clark is saying that the administration is racist, whatever. But the Young Turks is saying Congresswoman calls out Betsy Devos's racism. I mean, this is just insane. And the thing, I'm going to make a general commentary about the left, is they are so racist. It just disgusts me. And their racism is, so sometimes I don't know when they're actually seeing racism in their opponents and when they're just outright lying. So I don't think they know the difference between a lie sometimes because they're just so deluded, and delusions are a form of lie. But to some degree, I think they do a lot of projections. So let me give you an example. If I say to a leftist, to a Marxist, to a racist, to a fascist, to these people, if I say, I think it's okay to keep animals as pets, and if they say back, you disgusting racist, you think it's okay to keep black people as your pet? And I'm like, what? And then such a person might say, I'm not a racist. And they're getting in defensive mode. Yes, you are. You said it was okay to keep animals as pets. That means black people. I didn't say anything about black people. Yeah, that was a dog whistle. I think you're projecting your own racism onto me, because when I said animals, you perceive black people as animals. Therefore, when you're saying I'm racist. You're just projecting your own racism onto me. So that's the sort of way I think, that's a contrived example. It's not supposed to be a real something they actually do with that specifics. But that's generally what I see happening a lot with this projection. And of course, a lot of time they just outright lie. I mean, the fascists will call their opponents fascists to shut them up, but they're the fascists. It's insane. I mean, you see these fascists that call themselves Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist. And to some extent, you could say, well, technically they're not a Mussolini lineage of fascism. They're more of a Marxist, Stalinist, they're more socialist. Okay. So just like, and I think there's a history to it where this Marxist, socialist, whatever, they were against the fascists, if I'm remembering correctly, because this actually has a historical movement, if I understand, that goes back a long time that they're reviving. Yeah, they're against the fascists because they want to institute communism. Oh, so you're opposing someone cutting off somebody's head because you want to put them in the guillotine instead. It's like, okay, that doesn't really count. It's like you're like, no machetes for cutting off heads because I want to use the guillotine. They don't tell you that part. Yeah, they're communists. I mean, they're totalitarians. And the people they're opposing are not even really that fascist. I mean, it depends what you mean by fascist, but if you mean corporate regulations and it's fascism, but yeah, anyone who's not a capitalist or a socialist, you could call a fascist almost. But anyway, let me see what this damage report video does.
Black people and black children are just inherently more violent and more prone to crime.
Okay, so that is Representative Clark, and she's on MSNBC. And now when she see how she threw that word inherently on there. She's trying to make it metaphysical. She's trying to make it biological. She's trying to make it racist. Okay? She is using terms to what's the word? she's using terms that are meant to confuse and blur the line because it can have multiple meanings. What Betsy Devos was saying was there was an investigation, more black people were punished, but the conclusion of the investigation was that more black people were misbehaving. Therefore, no racism. And the response is not, we don't believe the investigation was done properly, and we think that actually those numbers were not correct, and that there were people of another race that were not punished, or these people were being punished incorrectly. The response is that our opponents, like Betsy Devos, are trying to say that black people are somehow biologically going to misbehave. In other words, they're saying our opponents are racist. When the statistics do not say that at all. The statistics don't say anything like that. All the investigation did was say these people misbehaved, they were punished. They happened to be a certain race, they were punished. People that were not misbehaving, that happened to be a different race, were not punished. That's it. That's all. They did investigation.
This is for an administration whose hallmark is racist and outrageous policies. This really does stand out to me as something that we can't just say it's another day in the Trump administration. We have to stand up for children in this country.
Well, look, I guess it doesn't take much to have Betsy Devos be speechless compared to some other people, but she was largely unable to answer that in the video clip that we saw.
I'll somewhat agree. I mean, I think Betsy Devos could use a lot of help with her messaging. I would be very interested in trying to help her with some of the ideas behind her positions, as well as her messaging and her confidence. So, anyway, I don't know if I want a commentary on commentary, because we've got the damage report. I don't want to take from those guys. So, anyway, I'll save the rest for another video.